Alright, what is up, you guys? Sage here, and ego is the success inhibitor. I know that to be true because I almost fell into the trap of my own ego as I talked about last video. In fact, I very realistically did, in a lot of ways, put myself in some spots of bother, over leverage myself, but also, created some massive opportunity, and there is no risk. What's the risk, bro? Like, what is the risk? And the fantastic thing that we learned today, or learned throughout this micro cycle within the process, is number one, uncertainty is a coward. Uncertainty is very fearful because if you win, the uncertainty goes away. But if you learn, the uncertainty goes away. Meaning, as long as you get to the end of that mini life cycle, the uncertainty goes away. And so, why be uncertain now if in future you will have a resolution? Like, why have anxiety over your uncertainty instead of using the uncertainty as a fuel, um, as that variable thing that could combust spontaneously and can be a source of power, which is what I've at least attempted my best to convert into a bit of a source of power in this moment right now, because it has forced me to get back to the bottom line and remember and understand that ego is success inhibitor in terms of the reason why I had gone down the incorrect path for the phase that I'm in and almost not stuck to the word of did we do what we said we were going to do, which is the whole point, right, throughout this year. A year of execution, not a year of planning and a year of making up new shit and new reasons why you can't do it and why you're not ready, but going to market, getting the real answer, not being afraid of the real answer, getting real market feedback and building on top of that. Like that's what we've always done, and I don't believe that now is the time to kind of backpedal, or think twice or three times about who we are and what we do. I think it's now a time to stick to our DNA and stick to what got us here. You know, it's very important to leave the dance with who you came with. You don't get caught up with the woman in the red dress. Um, but yeah, man, ego is the success inhibitor, truly. You know, the more you're caught up in feeding your ego and validating your ego, the more you're going to be caught up in low vibration cycles, doing things that you shouldn't be doing in order to try and maintain that. Not to say that we're not going to get caught up again in the future. Not to say that that's not something we consistently work on, but you have to watch that ego, man. I promise you, if you're very aware of your ego and where it's steering you and where the thought, the move, the emotional response that you're thinking about doing now is stemming from, I think very often you'll find that your ego has a lot more control over your decision making, than you'd like to admit that it does. So, stepping away from that, we talked about the AI tools been working fantastically for me in terms of things to create moments that make insight, that make clarity. I mean, perspective drives performance every day of the week. And so the awesome thing that I've been doing lately is from Grok, you can pull from real life sources. So, for example, I can prompt ChatGPT, yo, write me a book from Alex Hormozy and Patrick Bet-David speaking directly to me, and in terms of resolving this situation that I'm in right now, or how to mentally navigate the situation that I'm in right now. And then sure, chat gives me like a spine overlay of something. I take that, and then, okay, and the cool thing is chat obviously has all the context in terms of my streak. I've been using it the longest, so it's going to give me something that it knows will speak to me in a certain way. I take that, I plug it into Grok. I say, Grok, make this more relevant and accurate, because Grok can pull from live Twitter sources. So it's going to base whatever it feeds you off of the real content of what these people talk about and tweet about all the time, what their real principles, beliefs, values are. Is going to be reflected obviously within that Twitter and within those tweets, which is really cool, right? And so it can refine for you. Claude has worked for me fantastically in terms of workflow and actually executing real stuff that it should be illegal, some of the stuff this thing can do, if I'm being honest with you, but it can, and I use it, so it's not illegal. Also, abide to the laws of your country. Don't listen to me, bro. I don't know a thing. But yeah, so I take those things and I plug it into Notebook LM, and Notebook is going to read, overview it, and give me basically a podcast, a personal podcast based off of the information that I just fed it, that is curated to speak to me within that given moment. And when I tell you that my anxiety over the uncertainty that I'm facing in this period, just because I'm making really big bets and I'm taking really big swings, and I'm actually like in the arena fighting, gladiator level, in those moments where I'm like, damn, I'm not sure if ends are gonna meet. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make payroll. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to, sustain this and that or do this. Like I'm in the game really well and truly, fully in the game. But when you're in it, you can't really separate yourself from the situation and realize that, oh, this is what they're talking about. But with these tools and the combination of these things, and listening to some of those audio books that I've made for myself, or um, the podcast reading of reading and interpreting of the books that I've made to be written for myself, whatever, bro, it's whatever. But the cool thing about it is the perspective that it gives you, and that's invaluable. Like really truly being in a situation where, what was the thing of today? So it was number one, anxiety. Anxiety was mentioned there briefly, but it was talking about the arbitrage that exists in uncertainty, and that that uncertainty is a coward. That regardless of which way you look at it, if you win, the uncertainty will go away. But if you fail, the uncertainty will go away. You'll know. So either way, you win because you get feedback and data, and you get to go again because you're not going to die. So and that sounds obvious when you're not in that moment, but when you're in that moment and you're spiraling, you learn this, and it's very important, and I'll leave you on it. Instead of thinking about how you manage the situation, so I'm someone who is very capable in terms of what I do, very very proficient in terms of what I do. I'm a system builder. I am I'm an entrepreneur, like in the true sense of the word. Very very heavy into taking the risk, take the big swing, do the thing. I again, system builder. I am a speaker, a leader, a salesman, a marketer. All these skills that stack one on top of the other, that allow me to do some of the incredible things that are going to be coming out quite soon. Um, and yet, with all those skills, you can manage the situation, and there will still be a lag between when the situation is managed and when the actions are actually going to take place. And so you'll find yourself in spaces in between where you can't do anything more to the situation. But what you have to manage is your mind. But don't worry about managing the situation. The situation is what it is. Again, regardless, at the end of it, you'll find out what the truth is. Right? Uncertainty will be gone when time has elapsed. And so the game is won and lost in your ability to manage your mind. Because reflects your mind is dependent upon your biochemistry. So it's very important to take care of your body so that you have the correct amounts of energy and fuel for your frontal cortex. Crazy fact. And I'll leave you after this. Crazy fact, your frontal cortex is actually one of the most demanding parts of your brain. And so it's actually in charge of your focus, it's in charge of your impulse control, it's in charge of one other very important driving factor. So the point of that is, when your body's not good, when you haven't slept enough, when you're not eating correctly, if you don't take care of those things, the first thing that shuts down in order to conserve energy, your frontal cortex. And so that's why you find yourself spiraling and lost, and you just find yourself just undisciplined, unable to focus, unable to. It's not necessarily a mental problem that you lack the discipline. It's a biochemistry problem. You're mentally castrating yourself. You're biochemically castrating yourself and putting yourself in a position of disadvantage. And that's why it's easier for you in those moments to slip into vices, slip into bad habits that you've actually worked very hard iron out of your life and you just find yourself falling back into them, it's because you haven't put yourself in the right position. But anyway, ego ego is a success inhibitor. uh Uncertainty is a coward. It will go away eventually. And make sure that you're taking care of yourself physically. Make sure that you're equipping yourself mentally with the correct tools. Make sure that you stay on the ball, you stay learning, like take risks, live, baby, live. No one's probably gonna watch this, so that's why I get to speak as freely as I do. But if you did in fact enjoy watching it, then please do hit that subscribe button. I have been Sage, standing on business. Signing out.